Yes.
Thank you very much, National Chair. Sol from Sidibeng Mfuleni, Ward 31. I hereby move for the adoption of the resolutions on commissions.
Can I have a seconder?
Chair, National Chair. I was under the impression that because some of us were not part of other commissions, you will allow inputs that we feel that were omitted in other commissions.
No, that is fine. Remember, all these documents were circulated 2 months before. We've had inputs. We also had inputs during PGAs. The resolutions will be consolidated and distributed to all of us. Can I get a mover? Can I have a seconder? Limpopo, please go to the mic.
Greeting to the leadership of the EFF. I am Tsepo Lebang from Limpopo, from Capricorn region. I stand to second the adoption of the commissions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The resolutions of all the 12 discussion documents have been adopted. Thank you. 13. Thank you. Fighters, we are now going to move to the next item. We are going to call upon people that were not here when we invited people to do messages of support. Amongst us, we have Pudemo, Kedam Lungisi, Makangi. Can you please come forward?
Amanda, Maikule, EFF, Maikule. Thank you very much, Comrade Chair, Comrade President and Commander-in-Chief and the officials and the entire Central Committee of the EFF, the CCT, delegates gathered here in this assembly. I would also like to acknowledge the leadership and the representatives of the Chinese embassy who joined us here today and leaders of other organizations present here. Comrade President, today is indeed a bit nostalgic for me because I am in this assembly without one of our reliable leader, Commissar Nombulelo, who was always committed to the program of economic emancipation. I want to take this opportunity, Commander-in-Chief and the EFF, to express our gratitude for the role that you played in ensuring that Commissar Nombulelo is afforded a dignified send-off that it deserves. Comrade President, coming to this assembly, there were a lot of things that were being said about this emancipatory movement. Amongst them was that we were going to witness a revolt. I want to congratulate you delegates of the EFF for such a well-disciplined, inspirational and aspirational National People Assembly. You have indeed disappointed all those who since the formation of this movement have been wishing it nothing but death. But President, I'm primarily here to express my sincere gratitude to you, the leadership and the membership of the EFF, for the solid support that you extended to me few months ago when I was attacked on an assassination attempt and poisoned. It was the love and the warmth of the EFF that inspired me to fight on. I want to end by saying this, Comrade Commander-in-Chief. Today we have demonstrated to all doomsayers that indeed we are capable of defending this movement. From this NPA, we will assume the rebuilding process. And in executing this rebuilding process, we will be guided by what you said, Comrade President, 14 years ago when you were president of the Youth League, about how a true cadre behaves when his movement has treated him in a way that he thinks it's unfair. You said, Comrade President, that you do not display your loyalty and fidelity to your organization when it is treated you nicely. But your loyalty and service and fidelity to your movement, you display it when you think your organization is not treating you right. It was you, Comrade President, who reminded us of how Comrade Deng Xiaoping of the Communist Party of China behaved during the Cultural Revolution when he felt his party was treating him unfairly. As I sit down, I want to urge all of you fighters gathered here that the greatest weapon that you have in this movement is the base documents that have always guided the economic freedom fighters. You must refuse to be traitors of your class. You must demonstrate at all material times the fidelity to all 7 pillars of the EFF as we march to socialism. With these few words, I want to say to the leadership collective, we're looking forward to working with you, comrades, as we continue in honor of Commissar Nombulelo to work on making sure that the people of Swaziland are free sooner rather than later. Amandla. Thank you.
Let's give the President of Pudem a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Amongst us, we have the Embassy of People's Republic of China. I want to acknowledge their presence today, and that is Minister, Councillor Liu Kaiyang, and Third Secretary Yang Kai. Can you please stand up? Thank you. Thank you. Now we are going to call upon the President of BUSA, Honorable Musi Maimane. Can you please come to the stage? Thank you.
Amandla! Amandla! Dumelang bagaetsho, and I want to upfront say The naysayers have spoken, said their bit. They were not critical of you, they were critical of the struggle. But the struggle will continue, and I want to congratulate you for the work that you are doing. I want to also acknowledge and congratulate the leadership of the EFF that has been elected here today with President Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema. I come on behalf of Build One South Africa, but I come also as part of what Fanon describes as a new generation that must usher in a new freedom in this country. We must come to an appreciation, Hore. We may not all agree on ideology, but we form streams in this country that are fighting, and one day will coincide as a river that will march on towards a new freedom in South Africa. That freedom must speak. Where we are gathered here today, when there's a new and a true freedom, they will stand up and say, "Awa, the forces have delivered freedom and water in our society, electricity in our society, food in our society, jobs in our society. For what is the point of freedom when too many are dying hungry?" We must stand up together and say, "Genoeg is genoeg. Now is the time for change." Amandla. Because South Africa, you can't have multiple South Africas. You can't have one South Africa where people are enjoying true freedom and too many are lingering in poverty. Those are material conditions of instability in our nation. So, in those short words, I'm merely here to say, along with many others, a time is coming where revolution will sweep over this country and deliver significant change. And therefore, let us stand, let us realize, this is indeed a generational mission, and the CIC and I have collaborated, worked together in many places. So when I received an invitation to come here today, I did not find it strange. I thought to myself, I think the Eastern Cape are with me. Therefore, with that, I'm here to expand on that and say, "Kia leboga" for the invitation. But I want to invite many more South Africans to say, freedom is never won. It must be fought for in every generation. And let us take on that struggle forward from our grandmothers for the sake of our children. Kia leboga. Amorena boloka setjhaba sa heso. God bless.
Amandla! Amandla! Long live the EFF, long live! Long live the EFF, long live! Fighters, we are tired. Long live the EFF, long live! Long live the EFF, long live! Thank you very much, fighters. I am now going to call upon the most powerful engine in the political space of South Africa, the one and only, our SG, Marshal Dlamini. Amandla.
Amandla. Amandla. Viva EFF, viva. Viva EFF, viva. Qina fighter, qina. Ayihlome fighter, ayihlome. Long live the Commander-in-Chief, long live. 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 Amandla. Thank you very much, fighters. Let me take this opportunity and first congratulate our President, the Commander-in-Chief, for his re-election to say Leaders Commander. You have been given another mandate for another 5 years. So for the next 5 years, we're going to have one Commander-in-Chief, which is President Julius Malema. Let me also congratulate the fellow commissars who are all elected here in this third NPA. Fighters, let me take you through our declaration of the Third National People's Assembly from the 12th to the 15th of December here in Nazareth Expo Center. We, the delegates from across the length and breadth of South Africa's towns, townships, informal settlements, rural areas, workplaces, and institutions of higher learning, gathered here at Nazareth Expo Center in Johannesburg, Gauteng. From the 12th to the 15th of December 2024, at the Economic Freedom Fighters Historic Third National People's Assembly, representing genuine branches of the EFF and more than 1 million members of our organization. We are gathered here as the economic emancipation movement of South Africa and the African continent in honor of the great Mama Winnie Mandela, Robert Sobukwe, Steve Biko, Peter Mokaba, Chris Hani, Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, Almika Cabral, Queen Zinga, and other African giants, and in the interest of our people. We are gathered here as an economic emancipation movement under the decisive theme of defending, rebuilding, and advancing the struggle for economic freedom. To defend the only credible weapon in the hands of the people who are unemployed, landless, homeless, youth, women, children, cleaners, domestic workers, security guards, miners, construction workers, farm workers, petrol attendants, civil servants, and professionals, particularly black professionals, in the fight for economic freedom in our lifetime. We are gathered at the Third National People's Assembly as disciplined and focused delegates. We collectively demonstrated the ability to stand as one and defend our movement at the testing moment in its history. All delegates to the Third National People's Assembly had a definite mandate from branches and constitutional structures of the economic freedom fighters and reflected on the ideas of the organization, subjective and collective challenges. We assessed our progress and we deliberated maximally on challenges facing the organization and the success over the past 5 years. We reaffirm and we commit to our generational mission as expressed in our founding manifesto and the first NPA resolutions guided by the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars which express our socialist revolutionary vision in the immediate, outlined in our primary program of the EFF founding manifesto, expropriation of South Africa's land without compensation for equal redistribution in use, nationalizations of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors of the economy without compensation, building state and government capacity that will lead to the abolishment of tenders, free quality education, healthcare, housing, and sanitation, massive projected industrial development to create millions of jobs millions of sustainable jobs, including introduction of minimum wage to close the wage gap between the rich and the poor, close the apartheid wage gap, and promote rapid career path for Africans in the workplace. Massive development of the African economy and advocating for a move from reconciliation to justice across the African continent. Open, accountable, corrupt-free government and society without fear of victimization by the state agencies. The Third National People's Assembly takes place at a critical juncture of our movement's history. The EFF has faced unprecedented organizational and electoral challenges in its past 11 years since its foundation, including electoral sabotage and infiltration. But our resolve to defend these revolutionary gains of the past decade remains unshaken. Through the lens of Marxism, Leninism, and Fanonianism, we continue to analyze and confront the systematic contradictions of racial capitalism and imperialist domination. We honor the spirit of Pan-Africanism that unites us with the comrades from across the continent. We salute the EFF in Ghana, in Zimbabwe, Liberia, in Malawi, and beyond, and we reaffirm our commitment to the complete unification of Africa under one currency, one reserve bank, and a common developmental agenda amid increasing xenophobia across the continent. The economic liberation of Africa is non-negotiable and will continue to agitate to an end of the neo-colonial exploitation. As we commemorate the victories of the past 5 years, including the growth of the EFF membership to 1 million and the implementation of the key resolutions of the Second National People's Assembly, we are also truthful about the challenges that remain: to fight for land expropriation without compensation, the nationalization of key sectors including the South African Reserve Bank, job creation, and the decolonization of education. They all remain at the forefront of our agenda. We condemn the persistent scale of gender-based violence, extortion, patriarchy, and the systematic exclusion of women from economic and political power. This Assembly resolved to intensify the fight against all forms of oppression and to ensure that the representation of women and the marginalized groups in all sectors of society. This Assembly further resolves to intensify our demand for a comprehensive strategy to fight gender-based violence, particularly in the rural areas where women are extorted to avoid being raped. The EFF is committed to building a society that prioritizes justice, equity, dignity for all. The Assembly further notes the catastrophic impact of the neoliberal policies on South Africa's economy, the privatization of public services that is currently underway, the persistent unemployment, particularly among the youth, and the erosion of the state as an instrument of development demand a decisive shift towards socialist planning and state-led development. We reaffirm our call for the abolishment of tenders and the establishment of state-owned enterprises to drive the state-led industrialization that will rebuild the state capacity and create millions of jobs. Recognizing the threats posed by the fourth industrial revolution under capitalism, we resolve to advance technological development that serves the people, not the profit. The EFF will champion policies that will prioritize the needs of workers and the poor in the face of automation and artificial intelligence. This Assembly has adopted key resolutions to strengthen our organizational capacity, the replacement of regional structures with sub-region, the transition from the EFF Student Command to the EFF Youth Command, the increase of branch membership threshold from 100 to 200 membership as strategic steps to enhance our grassroots mobilization and political impact. We declare our unwavering solidarity to the oppressed people of the world, particularly the people of Palestine, who are under the threat of extinction as the racist apartheid Israel is currently engaged in genocide. We commit to intensifying our campaign against apartheid Israel. We will continue to fight for the expulsion of the Israel embassy from South Africa and the isolation of Israel from all international platforms. The Third National People's Assembly is a testament to the enduring spirit of the EFF. As we defend, rebuild, and advance the struggle for economic freedom, we do so with the knowledge that the future of our people depends on our actions today. We leave this assembly united, disciplined, and resolute in our mission to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. Aluta continue. Amanda!
Thank you, SG. The declaration has been delivered. Now I'm going to ask for hands to adopt the declaration. Can I have hands quickly, please? Limpopo?
Thanks very much, Chairperson of the session. My name is Simon Mangena from Limpopo, Mopane region, Ward 4 of Greater Letaba Municipality. I rise to adopt the declaration as presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder? Eastern Cape?
Ingqangane ensibazayo ndinguManqodidi Vuyani ndisuka eMnquma sub-region kwa-Ward 4 eAmathole region kwela phondo likhokelwa nguKhomisa Vena ndiphakamela ukuxhasa ukwamkelwa kwezindululo zalenkomfa ye-EFF enkosi.
Thank you very much. Fighters, we have now come to the end, almost to the end of our program. Phambi koba ndihlale phansi, ndifuna ukubulela ngendlela enithe naziphatha ngayo, nabonisa ilizwe how united and disciplined we are in the EFF. Ndiphinde ndibulele ithuba lokuba nindibeke nindinike oluxanduva nindinike lona ndisithi ndiyanithembisa into kokubana ndakwenza endinako emandleni ngesupport senu enkosi. Ngoku I'm going to call upon the DP to introduce the CIC. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Is Northwest there? Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Free State, Western Cape, KZN, Gauteng. Thank you very much, fighters. Our president needs no introduction to the delegates and the ground forces who elected him. For 11 years, he has been leading us. Here we are today. Comrade President, The next 5 years will be very long, if not short, with you. Please speak to us. Our delegates and membership are waiting for us. Thank you, President.
Amandla. Amandla. Viva EFF, viva. Tata EFF, tata. Aikule EFF, aikule. Thank you very much, Deputy President, our National Chairperson, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, the Treasurer General, and all members of the Central Command team, our guests who are here today, the media, and our ground forces who constitute this third National People's Assembly. I greet you all in the name of the Economic Emancipation Movement. I will not congratulate you because to be tasked with the responsibility of being the vanguard of the struggle for economic freedom is not a personal achievement, but a calling that demands of you to be selfless, humble, and a servant leadership. No one has won anything here today. It is only the EFF that has won against the wishes and prayers of the doomsayers. The EFF showed the highest level of discipline and democracy without any incidents of violence or humiliation of any individual. And our movement once again proved it is bigger than all of us. There were numerous attempts to distract us. There were countless attempts to inspire division, factionalism, and disunity ahead of this National People's Assembly. And as delegates of branches of the EFF, you resisted the agents of disruption and delivered a successful conference. For this, I thank you, comrade delegates. Many of the members of the CCT, which were elected here on the 14th of December 2024, will be leading at a national level for the first time. And we must be able to determine to them the basic characteristics of what it means to be a commissar. To lead at a national level means that you must have a national consciousness. And a national consciousness can never be developed over 5 years. It must be something that is organically born within you. A national consciousness does not mean you ought to have traveled the entire country before you are elected as a member of the CCT. But it means that you must have a sophisticated understanding of political and social conditions in our country at all levels. As a commissar, you must not think like a regional leader and always reference your township or your village when we debate and engage on national and international affairs. You must have a strong grasp of ideology in order to be able to apply the Marxist, Leninist, and Fanonian tools of analysis in a practical manner and to resolve the challenges confronting our people. In due course, we will hold an induction of all CCT members, but as they will be leading all of you up to sub-regional level, we must highlight some key characteristics of a commissar so that certain conduct is avoided and their role is clearly defined as they assume their leadership responsibilities. Commissars and fighters, drawing from our organizational redesign document, I want to outline to you what is expected of the Central Command team so that when you move away from this principle, It is these delegates who will highlight your shortcomings in the branches. I could not do this before in the political report because if I did, I would have been accused of promoting certain individuals and candidates. But now, as newly elected president, I can speak freely. Fighters, an ideal central command team is constituted as follows. Every CCT member must be an all-rounder who has capacity to organize and mobilize without seeking external assistance. The CCT should be composed of members who deeply understand the founding manifesto of the EFF, the constitution, and all policies of the organization. The CCT should be composed of members who are able to conduct political education and training to all lower structures. The CCT should be composed of members who will not complain about the vastness of South Africa and are thus able and willing to travel the length and breadth of South Africa to do the work of the organization. The CCT should be composed of commissars who will not completely depend on the organization on everyday basic organizational necessities such as travel to their areas of deployment and must have capacity to legitimately and legally fundraise in a manner that will not compromise the organization and themselves as leaders. The CCT commissars should command absolute clarity on all issues, actively and consistently seek to improve their levels of knowledge and expertise on diverse range of issues and topics. The CCT should be constituted by commissars whose home branches attain equal or higher percentage of votes than the national average attained by the EFF in any election. The CCT should be composed of commissars who are able to coherently write perspective and submissions and are able to make presentations on their own writings. Accordingly, in this new chapter, comrade delegates, we do not want CCT members who will be defined by ego, self-importance, and disrespect of their fellow leaders and fighters. As we enter a new phase in our revolution, we do not want commissars who are detached from the daily realities of our people and are obsessed with talking amongst themselves but never going to our people. Fighters, these commissars seated behind me must never get into the practice of only be visible when there is a national program. And so as soon as the leadership leaves, they follow. From now on, a commissar must be a permanent ground force, defined by humility and willing to sacrifice everything in service of our struggle. There is no commissar who's going to be accused of sexual harassment. There's no commissar who's going to be accused of abusing women. There's no commissar who's going to be knocking on the doors of leaders of the student command in an attempt to impose themselves on young children. A commissar must be disciplined and show that discipline both in private and in public. What you do in darkness will one day come out. And when it comes out, you must be very proud to stand with what you did in darkness. So do not do things that are going to embarrass us and embarrass the movement. Delegates to the Third National People's Assembly of the EFF, I want to commend you from resisting the provocation of the media and many of those who wish to see us fail ahead of this assembly. There were newspapers that were dedicating Sunday pages to the destruction of the EFF. But you delegates refused to listen to those doomsayers, and you disappointed them. There have been numerous attempts to cast doubt and shadow over the credibility and authenticity of our assembly because the aim is to caricature us as an organization of chaos, and you have proved them all wrong. Those in the public domain have for more than a decade characterized the EFF as an organization of an individual which relies on individuals. And over the past 3 days, you have proven once again that this movement belongs to the people. It is now them who subscribe to individuals and not you as members of the EFF, because you have proven that the EFF belongs to a collective and will never stop its work as a result of the actions of individuals. They have tried to undermine you and tried to paint the discipline you have shown as a result of choreography, because to them, the democratic process of black people must have violence and altercations. These mainstream media and social commentators disparately want the gathering of black people to be characterized by hatred, slander, and fighting. And because of the EFF has run a peaceful organizational processes without a single incident of violence, they are pained because they now have nothing negative to write home about. Baswabile baloi. Be ba tlisitse boloi mo. Boloi ba bona le lwetse ba di tshwere ba di phuthetse di padile ba paletse go di phuthulla ba no kwa ba tshwarega ba tsena ka moholong e ka re moloi ka mo a ka se survive. Jalo ba tsantse re ba tsebe ba re tlhoileng gore ba file Black Christmas na ro ki phina ka Christmas ro nyakalala ra naba maoto ra se ba fetole le ba ngwala ka Christmas ka re tabere le busy re ya di beetroot bona di tabe di ba khama di pelo di a baba di pelo tše dintsho tša baloi. We have defeated them with their lies, who tried to sow disunity in the EFF and provoked factionalism in order to disrupt the Third National People's Assembly. On the opening of the assembly, we provided a political report which reflected on ideology and domestic and international politics. And instead of engaging meaningfully with this contribution to the intellectual discourse of South Africa, they resorted to gossip and peddling of rumors because they do not have the capacity to interact with ideas. I decided to present that report in a manner I did because I knew that most of these journalists of South Africa have got no basics of classics. They do not understand dialectical materialism. They have no understanding of Marx, Lenin, and Fanon. And to speak to them for a long time about such issues, it will be to demoralize them because they do not hear a thing. That's why even after you speak about Fanon, Lenin, and Marx, they still ask you about gossip because they've got no capacity to engage on Marx, Lenin, and Fanon. They've got no capacity to engage in any ideological engagement. They are journalists of gossip. And when you give them political education, that's a boring statement. They want Mugozi. They thought they were coming here for Mugozi. You are not coming here for Mugozi. This is a political education school here. We made you attend political education. And we even gave you documents. You must read them during December. Do not read gossip newspapers. Read the political lecture we gave you throughout this input. Fighters, let's go back and make sure that we build our organization as you have agreed and presented the resolutions. The organizational character and redesign, it tells us that indeed we must do away with the regions. And doing away with the regions does not mean these regions are dissolved. They are still regions. You just took a resolution. They go back and continue to work as they are until this leadership has met and developed guidelines on how we are going to go about removing regions and introducing the sub-regional structures. So the regional leadership remains intact until we come to you. Going, Yona, is inevitable. So don't stay so comfortably. start making yourself popular in your sub-regions. But for now, you are there until we come and give guidance as to what is going to happen. Comrades, I'm happy that the comrades of KZN are determined to go and fight and regain the lost ground in KwaZulu-Natal. And they were saying to me, some of them, that President, you see where Gauteng is sitting, that's where we're supposed to be sitting. In the next conference, we are sitting there because we'll be more in number, because we are going to grow our numbers in KwaZulu-Natal. And Gauteng says that will never happen. We are going to maintain our position and we are going to reclaim our lost grounds in the previous elections. So we are happy that you are so determined. Fighters, there is no longer a student command. There is a youth command. And I don't know why someone will even go into a commission and argue against the youth command, which exists because of the Constitution. When we say youth command, we are not proposing a new thing. It is in the Constitution of the EFF. We are not dissolving the student command. We are converting every branch of the student command into the youth command. Where there is a branch of a student command, it's not going to be changed. The chairperson remains the chairperson. The secretary remains the secretary. We are just changing the name. They are no longer student command. They are a youth command, which exists everywhere. Like the youth league, the ANC youth league. If you don't know, there is no ANC student organization. It's ANC Youth League. SASCO is an independent organization. COSAS is an independent organization that took a resolution to align with the ANC. It doesn't derive its existence from the constitution of the ANC. So we led the Youth League outside campus, inside campus. And what we are saying to you is that do not create so many structures that you are going to fail to manage. Hey, youth command, women command, student command, union, are forming Sanko Yarina, so that you are actually planning for yourself. Or when I fail here, I go this side. When I fail this side, I go this side. We have the EFF is enough. Someone says, okay, if I'm 30 years, I'm above 30, and I'm at the university, I'm a student, it means I'm going to be excluded from the student command. Yes, but you won't be excluded from the EFF. Agree, you will have joined the EFF in a branch where you come from. When there is election at university, you vote for EFF. When there is a campaign of the EFF, you join to support the campaign of the EFF Youth Command because it's EFF Youth Command. So there is no need to want to justify your participation in the politics of youth because you are a student. President ya SRC mara afita VC ya skolo sagaga benwa. Student command are a launcher. When we launched student command, the first president of the student command was older than the former deputy president of the EFF. And just that alone tells you there is a problem here. So we are going to have the youth command that takes between 14 to 30, not 35. Karel tomo feta 30, Swanjel tomo baba toba wolo, Lidie malapa. Toba laba tomo barba lidiaba youthimo baba inaleba na baba wolo. So we want you to go and build structures of the youth command. Again, on the youth command, there will be a direction that is going to be given immediately after the first CCT meetings where guidelines will be developed about how we go about it. Comrades, we have not included the issue of age in our constitution. We have not amended and said, no, not age, metric. We have not amended and said you can only lead the EFF if you have metric or post-metric qualification. We did so deliberately. But this is going to apply on the deployment. So when we issue the guidelines on deployment, metric or equivalent is going to be a requirement. So it's not a constitutional matter. It's a matter that we will deal with as we navigate the issue of deployment. You are going to be angry with us now when we deny to deploy you in a particular department. But because we denied you on the basis of qualifications, you go and acquire qualifications. And when you come back while qualified. You come back with qualifications, and those qualifications were attained because the EFF said you cannot occupy this without qualifications. So you are going to thank us not now, in the future, even when you are no longer in the EFF, even when you are no longer in the position of the EFF. You will be employed, you can run your own business, you can be introduced in gatherings. Lena o ka ra le tsamaye mabaka wa tswa o ta ro tsamaya gathering ba re ba tsebisha batho ba re o ke mamang o na le PhD le masters leng o kre o rapela gore wena ba ska ba o batamela or no, they must never come close to me. So we have not made it a constitutional matter, but we are going to make sure that this issue is taken very serious. Comrades, we are going to fight for state capacity. We are going to fight to industrialize our economy. We are going to fight for infrastructural development in South Africa, and we are going to fight for the protection of state-owned enterprises. We are going to defend ESCOM, and we are going to fight everybody who wants to privatize our state assets. So we must never allow anyone to privatize the things that belong to us. We are going to fight for the land reform. We are going to fight for the expropriation of land without compensation. We must be found fighting in sports, arts, and culture. It must never be a domain of other people. We must be found there fighting for our artists, for our sportsmen and women. We must fight for Banyana to be paid the same amount as Bafana Bafana, because they all do the same thing. Comrades, Cyril Ramaphosa has to sign a Bella bill. If Cyril Ramaphosa does not sign a Bella Act, we are going to the streets. We must mobilize everybody in society to demand that the Bella Act must be signed. We are not going to be threatened by AfriForum. We are not going to be threatened by anyone who was wearing orange and saying we must not implement the Bella Act. The Bella Act is going to be implemented. No one is going to be excluded in a school owned by government on the basis of language. Comrades, the school we have spoken about, and I don't know why the TG did not do this, because I had asked her nicely that after she presents the report, she must play bioscope for you here. Barking Legend. 3D. They were supposed to show you the 3D plans of that school, because we are at a stage where we even have 3Ds. We know where the swimming pool is going to be, because there's going to be a swimming pool. If anything that is found in white people's schools is going to be found in that school, because we must make it in such a way that everybody feels like their children must go to those schools, or they must build those kind of schools in our townships and villages. So the school will be built, and there was a very progressive proposal by one of the fighters who said, when we start the construction of the school, We must say, one fighter, one brick. We must all contribute a brick and call on society to contribute a brick so that this school becomes the people's school. We have already told the Chinese embassy that we are going to knock on their doors asking for money to build for a school, not for EFF political program, a school that is going to be for poor children. So we are at an advanced stage. Comrades, we are not fighting with the media. We just want a transparent media, honest media that reports objectively. It doesn't matter whether you've got your own preferences in the EFF or not, but report honestly, because that will help to build the credibility of your newspaper or television. I'm happy ENCA has finally come back to its senses and stopped its madness, because ENCA walked out of this NPA in 2019. And we said to them, you will never cover the EFF events until you apologize. And we stopped them from covering EFF for 5 years until they were willing to talk. And we came, we spoke. The leadership of the ENCA said they do not associate with the decision of those people because they don't understand why they took such a decision. It was irrational, it was reckless. They don't associate with that decision. And they told us, we didn't know because we're no longer watching ENCA. And then we had a program in the EFF where we were teaching, we issued a video and said to the members of the EFF, this is how you block ENCA on DSTV. We blocked it. So from here, we are going to unblock you. We are going to unblock you. And then the ENCA, I told them one thing, that when Hitler was speaking and speaking bad things and declaring death on the Jews, no media has ever walked out of him. Even when he was speaking, killing people. What justification do you have that you walked out of a political gathering where the life of people was not threatened? They never walked out of Malan. They never walked out of Fairfoot. They never walked out of De Klerk, out of Botha. Even when these people were announcing the killing of children in Soweto and everywhere else, the media never walked out. So, what is worse about what the EFF did that day to make you walk out? It's an irrational decision which exposed you as a media that you are subjective. Sometimes you act irrationally without a reason behind whatever you are doing. So, welcome back. Fighters, when you see them, don't chase them away. You must be nice to them. You must be friendly to them. SABC, shame. It's our property. It just has got some one or two journalists who don't know politics, but they report about politics. And if you are to put, I want to talk to the political editor of SABC. Because I see this thing of calling analysts. They come there and then they talk alone and talk a lot of nonsense. So if you are analyst, it will analyze EFF. You must call us to be there. That analyst must sit here, speak that nonsense in our presence, and we'll expose them because many of them are just clowns. Are just clowns. Yeah, analysts, the same analyst in his entire life, he has never organized a birthday party. He has never organized his own wedding celebration. But he wants to come and analyze how a gathering is organized. From which experience when? When I sang our dear party, so please, we are not riding on a high horse. Call us, call an analyst, put here. Even some girl says he's an analyst, he was analyzing some nonsensical things there. Listen to this one. What's my only one? Blind. Call us, talk when we're here. Repeat unto you. When some girl or they can sing when they sing in a shower. So 405 it used to be a very nice channel, well balanced. And there is a guy there of 405 who, when he came, I want to talk about his name. Galata. Yeah, Galata. Galata came to 405 and behaved like his objective. And made that station to be a people station. We loved it. We were putting that channel. But that channel, and I'm saying this honestly, is going to collapse. It's going to be another failed project if you are continuing with that journey you are continuing with. You are going to join that thing of the Guptas. You are going back there where the Guptas had a TV channel. It became a flop. You are becoming a flop. And it's Galat. So if the owners of that thing love that channel, they must act on Galat. Maybe you must go back to Eastern Cape to go and edit that daily dispatch there. Maybe it's a village mentality that works in degenerating a national station. The guy was coming all right. Problem he ate monies from other people. Even when you correct something factually, they still don't correct it on their TV. But you know, with SABC, you make a call, you demonstrate to them, but this is inaccurate. In less than no time, it will be corrected because journalists must be concerned with the facts. When you prove the facts, they must immediately correct those things. But we are working with all of them. We are going to work with the ENCA. We are going to work with SABC. You have no choice. Because by not working with SABC, you are not working with yourself. It's not a state broadcaster. It's a public broadcaster, which means it's owned by us, the public. That's our relationship with SABC. And that's why we must have huge interest in the SABC. It must be a contested terrain. We must not allow it to behave like it's an ANC channel. It's not an ANC channel. We're going to work with all newspapers, radio stations. We're going to work with all the podcasters. But we can't go to podcasts of other political parties. Like that one of the son of Dalimbuf. We can't go there. That thing is for MK, it's not for us. So let him continue to interview MK people. I mean, it's like EFF podcast going to interview Fikile Mbalula. He will never allow that. So don't ask us witchcraft, that we must do things that are unacceptable. Every podcast, Shem, Lejabu DJs boo the hassle. No, yeah. Auna more saying because Rena, we are not hiding anything from anyone. We go everywhere. maar re ka se tsamaye di-office tša other political parties. So it's as simple as that. The argument that it was formed before MK, how can it become MK? Those who are MK, they were born before MK. They are older than MK, so how did they become MK? If being born before doesn't make you MK, that logic doesn't make sense. They must interview their fathers. Comrades, we are going to intensify our internal communication, strengthen our communication. We are going to make sure that we professionalize our podcast and make sure that our podcast is driven by national consciousness, not some ruralitarian perspective, not some backwardness. It must have a producer. That producer must be someone with a background in the media, tried and tested. And I'm told there is one who was fired in 405. I must look for that producer that was fired in 405 and hire him. So we must professionalize our podcast. Comrades, our podcast is not political education podcast, it's podcast. So you can't want to see people talking about Marx, Lenin, and Fanon every day on that podcast. Otherwise, you'll watch it alone. It has to be attractive to even non-political people, because some voters of the EFF may not be interested in its literature. So you need to bring all different kinds of people. Be a celebrity, be an artist, be an actor, be a musician, well-known businessman, emerging young entrepreneur. Those are the people who must be bringing into our podcast. Someone says when those traditional healers were performing their customs here, he says, wow, as a Christian, how are you going to feel in the EFF? But being stupid is not a difficult thing, eh? Because there was a Christian that prayed. There was a Muslim that prayed. When it is Africans, they now start wanting to question, what about? But it just happened on the same platform. Because we belong to different religions. We are not a Christian religious organization or Muslim or African. No, we are a political organization that is constituted by different people who belong to different religions. So please, let's make sure that we broaden that education through our own media platforms. We need EFF to be innovative. We need EFF to be the new thing. It must not operate like the old organization and even do things that failed to build the ANC, and you say the ANC was doing this, therefore we're also doing it. But you can see that it's not working. So let the new ideas come from the EFF. So fighters, let's go and build our structures. Let's go and defend our structures. We cannot allow our organization to be divided. There are comrades who are working day and night to divide the EFF, not because they hate the EFF, but because this comrade can never succeed outside factional politics. Where there is no fight, they just start a fight. They both support Julius Malema, but they've got two groups, two WhatsApp groups. WhatsApp group for this one, WhatsApp group for this one. All of them are saying we support Malema. So what are you disagreeing on? So our leaders will have to grow very fast. Because factionalism is what destroyed the ANC, and it will destroy the EFF. Our leaders must learn to consult each other. There is no leader here who possesses all of the wisdom. If you are a secretary of a province, you'll find yourself talking to other secretaries of provinces, giving them names from your province, and you have not consulted with your chairperson about that. You must know you are a problem. You have to respect each other. And respecting each other means you have to respect each other's views. You don't have to agree with the name, but give them an opportunity to express themselves. So I hope we are going to learn from here and go and build a strong organization, not build out of factionalism and then friends, favoritism, factionalism. All of those, we are bearing them here today. When we go back home, we are all one united EFF, and all leaders of the EFF are here in front. There is no leader of the EFF who's not here in front. There is no leader of the EFF who's not here in Nazareth. If they are not here, they are not leaders of the EFF. You must never regard them as the leaders of the EFF. You chose the leadership. You must defend your leadership. You must respect your leadership, both in private and in public. Fighters, there will be lots of things that are going to try and test us. But we have a founding manifesto. We exist on the basis of principle. Let's go and stick to our documents and stick to the discipline of our movement. Our leaders are here. You all know them. You nominated them here for 3 hours. You can't live here and want to be telling us about non-existing leaders. Anyone who's not elected by a province or elected by this conference is not a leader of the EFF. So EFF met here at the 3rd National People's Assembly and elected leaders. EFF met here at the 3rd National People's Assembly, adopted resolutions that are going to be implemented by leaders. Anything else that gets written by anyone on Facebook, Twitter, newspaper, whatever, is not EFF resolution. Our resolutions are not communicated through social media. We are going to clean them up and send them to you directly as members of the organization. Do not listen to doomsayers. Do not listen to those who want to destroy the EFF. The EFF is here to stay. The EFF will not die today. The EFF will not die tomorrow. This organization is going to be here for generations to come. They declared this Nazareth a death place of the EFF. They thought the EFF was going to be officially buried here. Now, the EFF is not buried. The EFF is re-energized. We are re-energized. And determination. Don't stop the EFF because it's unstoppable. So let's go out there and tell our people that you did not disappoint them. Your discipline is celebrated by everyone in South Africa, including those who hate us. They can't stop talking about how well organized we are, how disciplined we are. One of the journalists was saying, but this stage, comrades, is a United Nations stage. The way you have set it up is like we are in a UN assembly. No any other party can do this except the EFF. So you always prove to all of them that you are ahead of yourself, of themselves, because, comrades, you cannot elect people who can organize themselves. ANC tried to form a podcast. Yeah, in 2 weeks, do it. Good, disorganized. But you keep on voting for such people. and then expect organized government when the people who are leading you are disorganized. Media, when you go to press conferences in the ANC, when it was turn to ask questions, we can't hear you. Because they've got no facilities, latest facilities. That's how much disorganized they are. So we must be the most organized organization. And through our organization, we'll now give our people hope and faith. You just have to work hard and hard. This thing of the votes will come. People vote for those who work very hard, not those who just come. Councillors, we want to warn you now that we are not going to go to every meeting and we are told about lazy councillors. Every councillor must have a baggie. Every member of the provincial legislature must have a baggie. Every member of parliament must have a baggie, including me. I've got a baggie and I drive it myself. So why baggies? You must never say there is an area that is not accessible. Because there are areas that are not accessible. The roads are in bad condition. But the EFF must be in a position to go to the dejected masses of our people. To go into the areas where our people are forgotten. It is you, the EFF, that will give the hope to our people. We are going to 2026 elections. The campaign starts now. You don't go and stay at home and start a campaign in 2026. You must start the campaign now by working hard in your own communities now. We are there, comrades. We are going to support you. This GNU will not last. Because Ramaphosa, if he doesn't sign Bella Bill, those people of the ANC are going to remove him. And if he's not removed now, anyway, he's going to 2027. There will be a new president of the ANC who will be elected on the ticket of anti-GNU. You saw one of them was even singing Asifuni GNU, the deputy president. The person who's going to be elected is a person who's going to fight GNU. That's why I say to you, it will not last. Everywhere else is being rejected, but people keep on imposing it on members of the ANC. So, comrades, we are waiting. We are going to enter this thing of government. We are just waiting, you will see. When they start fighting with Helen Zille, that's why you came organized in this way, so that you tell them through this organization that there is an alternative, a progressive left alternative to Helen Zille, and that alternative is the EFF. We are not going into government to save the ANC. We are going into government to work for our people. And through working for our people will vote us into power. Because they want to see what kind of government will the EFF bring. Resolution Helen Zille is leaving. Once Helen Zille is out, say again, we are ready. Our people gave all the progressive black parties majority to govern in South Africa. The ANC decided to go with right-wingers, racist, white supremacists. It will come back to its senses. When it comes back to its senses, Skona. If they are going to call those criminals of Mkondo and work with them, it's their own problem. Tinasi Angena will do our own thing. We want nothing to do with Mkondo. It's their own. If they want them, it's them. We can't choose friends for them. If they, or anyway, they were friends together, criminals. We are not going into a coalition with the ANC on condition there is MK. Aye. We are not interested in MK. It's not a condition. We are ready to govern. We are ready to give the people of South Africa a desired government that will look after black people, build them houses, give them schools, build 24-hour clinics, ensure that we stop rape and GBV in South Africa. Only the EFF can return the minds to the people of Skukuni and Northern Cape and make sure that the people of Northwest benefit from the minerals. Only the EFF will not be in a corrupt relationship with the mine bosses, because EFF is not captured. So you don't want a party that is not captured, because you know that your bosses cannot control the EFF. Let them make a mistake and put us in that government. There is no white person who can undermine the department led by the EFF. That department will be a liberated zone, like we are doing in Ekurhuleni, like we are doing in Johannesburg, eThekwini, Nelson Mandela. All the departments that are led by EFF are liberated zones. That's where our people get services in practical terms, not just talking, lip service. So let's go prepare to take government in 2026. If it comes before that time, it's okay, but we'll consolidate it in 2026. Noma kanjani, you must all go and win your municipality. You must all go become mayors in your municipalities. You must all go and become councillors in your municipality. Go give people clean water. Go give people houses. Go give people roads. Go give people services. Let the poor not pay for water and electricity. Let's go take power on 2026 local government election. Let's go and increase the votes of the EFF. Let's go and show them that the EFF will not decline. The EFF will go higher and higher. The EFF is unstoppable because victory is certain. Amanda! Amanda! Viva! EFF, viva! Tata, EFF, tata! Tata, EFF, tata! Haikule, EFF Northwest, haikule! Haikule, EFF Mpumalanga, haikule! Haikule, EFF Limpopo, haikule! Haikule, EFF Northern Cape, haikule! Haikule, EFF Eastern Cape, haikule! Haikule, EFF Free State, haikule! Haikule, EFF Western Cape, haikule! Tata KwaZulu Natal, tata! Tata KwaZulu Natal, tata! Forward to victory in KZN, forward! Forward to victory in KZN, forward! Amandla! Haunoma kuvi siyaya siyaya noma kuvi siyaya siyaya noma kuvi siyaya siyaya noma besethubola besishaya besibopha noma besethubola besishaya besibopha kubi kubi yo siyaya siyaya kubi Kubiyo, Siaya, Siaya. Noma besetubola, besishaya, besibopa. Noma besetubola, besishaya, besibopa. Who left? Who right? Yamasa. Who left? Kita. Kill me. Kiribatabata. Samarumo. Samarumo. Asicha. Where were you when I'm sitting? Where were you when I'm drunk? So fast kitchen. Emoye. So fast kitchen. Etati. Kichi, kichi, kichima. Kichi, kichi, kichima. Shoot to kill. Yamasa. Shoot to kill. Kill a man. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. Attention.
Delegates, Hall 5, nidlule nithathe ilunch yenu. Hall 5 emabhasini, nihambe kahle. Dlulani Hall 5, nihambe kahle. Bye-bye.
Fighters, we have lost items in front. If you've lost anything, please come to that corner.